All right, everybody, welcome 90s comic book fans. Thank you so much for showing up for this video on Stephen Platt Moon Knight. If this is your first time here, guys, do me a favor, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel for more awesome 90s comics overviews and reviews and fun 90s comic stuff in general. I got a lot of things kind of on the to-do list. We're talking comic books, we're talking Wizard magazines, we're talking comic book cards, all kinds of great stuff from the 90s. So if you're a 90s comics fan, hit that like button, hit that bell. I would not want any of you to be disappointed and miss out on any videos of me showing love for 90s comics. So in this video, just like I said, I love 90s comic books, and there's really nothing better than Stephen Platt on Moon Knight. I call it Splat Night. Splat Night. So we're going to talk about issues 55, 56, 57. Then we're going to skip over to issue 60. 57 or 58, 59 was not drawn by Stephen Platt. So you could just kind of leave those alone for a little bit. But I want to just really focus on the art and the rendering and the excitement that was Stephen Platt on Moon Knight. All right, so here we go. Let's take a look. Mark Spector, Moon Knight, number 55. We're going to go back to 1993 with this book, where Stephen Platt first burst, like just like a hot nova explosion onto the scene here with Moon Knight 55. Never heard of it before until this point. Never really did any comic book work before. He did do some pages for a Moon Knight story in a Marvel Comics Presents tale that was never ever published. I can actually probably put the pictures up. I could probably find those original pages online and show you guys that. That was his first major work. But here we have like a 19, I want to say he's 19 years old. I'm sorry if I get his age incorrect. Year old Stephen Platt, and busting on the scene for the very first time, like I said, like an explosion, just like what we see here. Just white hot right out of the gate, like immediately superstar status overnight. And let's take a look through issue 55 and we can see why that happened. We'll see a lot of good artwork already on this kind of first page here. It's 90s, so you have your typical beautiful blonde, tiny dress, even though she's this huge business executive working for Mark Spector and other kinds of things like that going on. I'm going to focus a lot on the art when we talk about Stephen Platt, because that's what we're really here for. Not so much the story of this Moon Knight story. That was really actually a pretty good, fun story of supernatural creatures and beings that we'll talk about. But we're going to talk about how this dying comic book was not saved, but with having Stephen Platt on it, this young, unknown, instant superstar, how it really did improve sales. At this point, according to Wizard magazine issue 29, their top 10 list lists that this book was selling a measly 40,000 copies, and that is weak numbers for 90s comic books. And look, we'll just turn to this page here. We got these two security guards, and already you can see with these security guards, the little skinnier security guard, and you got this massive monster, super ripped, muscular security guard that with Stephen Platt, you can see his Todd McFarlane influence right out the gate, immediately with the lines in the uniform, with the square jawline, the big chin, the eyes, and we'll look at a little some more examples through here as well. But you will see it's unmistakable, it's unnoticeable. His Todd McFarlane influence that we'll definitely get more into here. We'll talk about some storytelling as well when it comes on to Stephen Platt. But what a just huge, massive security guard who's actually working for Mark Spector and is infiltrating this other business. But he stands out. Like, that's a security guard that you're going to see stand out compared to the other people. Here we go. This awesome splash page here. Shout out to the credits here. We got Terry Cavanaugh on the writing, Stephen Platt doing pencils, Chris Ivey, Alve, and Scott Koblish as the inkers. Dana Morshed for the coloring duties. There's beautiful color that we'll see in here. So shout out to all those guys. Shout out to Editor-in-Chief Tom DeFalco. Shout out to Editor Sarah Mossoff and Loretta Cole doing the lettering. So all these guys really helped make this book come to life. But we're talking about Stephen Platt here. And this is a perfect example as why this book was just a massive, massive hit book right out the gate. This is a dying comic book series. This book is being canceled at this point as this is being released. But we got high action art here with Mr. Big Buff security guard busting through the windows here and all the shards of glass. We'll see some more of that going through here. That's very typical, awesome Stephen Platt work. These hands are awesome Todd McFarlane-esque hands. We'll see much more examples here, but here's what we're talking about. If we look back on this page here, we're talking muscle that you can see through the shirts. We got lines, all the wrinkles from the clothing, the cape. This is Stephen Platt just firing on all cylinders. He is putting everything he has into this page. Everything is just being poured out here. This is why I love Stephen Platt so much. We got some great examples, some more great examples of that as we flip through these books as well. Cape, this Moon Knight cape is just incredible. Again, very Todd McFarlane influenced. If you ever read Spawn, you can see, you know how Todd McFarlane does his capes. So very, very intricate, very, very fun and exciting. There's nothing not dynamic about Stephen Platt's artwork in here. This entire series. Definitely a Todd McFarlane looking face there. A little bit of his own style here as well coming through. More great capes. You'll see in this series that how this cape just is very Spawn-esque. And what I mean by that, I don't mean it in a negative way whatsoever, that the cape really starts to take over the figure and becomes almost like its own character that you'll see. Some more just action, more 90s Stephen Platt women, some amazing you'll see ripped clothing. Stephen Platt does some of the best ripped and shredded clothing that you're ever going to see in here. Really good here, actually. I love the coloring, the contrast of the coloring in this panel with this long panel here of the side of the building with the fire escapes, with the orange and kind of like this like magenta purplish kind of color here. Really works well. The colorist, I love the colorist's job on this book for sure. But I'm going to flip through here because we need more stuff like this. More Stephen Platt style characters. Just massive, aggressive, intimidating, alpha characters that we'll see a lot through this series that we're going to really, really get into. I love this crazy... this is the skinny security guard that got picked up by the Seth character that we saw earlier. So he went a little loopy and crazy and nutso, and you could see it in here. A lot of long panels. Really for somebody, this is Stephen Platt's first work. And there's some I'm not a professional comic book artist, but I understand storytelling. I can see good storytelling. I can see where bad storytelling takes place. For somebody's first work, you'll see there's a lot of mistakes with storytelling and things like that. But there's some really great choices he makes. Like this long panel here inside this padded room. Really interesting choice. Really, really good choices here. And in that Wizard magazine I was talking about earlier, he talks about how he sat down with John Romita Sr., the great John Romita Sr., and just in a couple of conversations just learned so much. And you can see those improvements that he got from John and his advice really kind of take place in here. Because as we see here, and I'm talking about storytelling mistakes and things like that, this is one of the examples I wanted to point out. And I'm not being critical. This isn't raw destroying Stephen Platt. I'm not going to, I'm not here to make fun or anything like that. there's nothing more I love more than early Stephen Platt artwork. But you can see the wind with the smoke or steam from the building going up and out this way. You can tell the wind is going this direction, but her trench coat is going that direction. And you'll see the same thing here, where this purple, or I'm sorry, this pink trench coat's going this way, that trench coat's going this way, and this trench coat's going up. Like wind is going up, or it looks more like he just kind of fell from the sky and landed, you know? So those kinds of things I'm talking about when it comes down to, like, you know, art mistakes and storytelling mistakes that, you know, again, this is his first work. I'm not here to be critical or demeaning, but just things to kind of just point out, because we could see some improvement as that kind of goes along. But this panel right here, this is the Stephen Platt that that comic book fans fell in love with, what 90s comic book fans still talk about today, is this type of art, this type of style, with the bajillion different lines for the shading, the ripped clothing, just massive muscles that I'm not quite sure how accurate that anatomy is, but I don't care. It does not matter, because this is just so powerful and amazing. So this is Stephen Platt, so that we love to see. And like a lot of the inking in here too, just great work as well. We'll talk about, maybe I'll do a Prophet series a little bit later, and we can talk about Stephen Platt inking, that he used just Sharpies and markers and, you know, pins like that as well, that really, the original art kind of turned into purple. But just really great stuff that you can see here, like the police kind of just showing up here, the energy source off of the hands. Just this is great stuff. I can't get enough of this kind of stuff. Joe Mad, here's some Joe Mad art right here inside a Pizza Hut ad. I love his Bishop. Looks great here. I mean, this is not really what I kind of fell in love with Joe Mad X-Men artwork. And this Bishop is pretty much the same face he uses all the time. This is early X-Men Joe Mad artwork that I'll do another series of later for Joe Mad artwork for sure. Joe Mad X-Men. Pizza Hut. Back when it was still good. All right, again, let's get some more just high velocity, high octane, just incredible fast pace art, action. We got just blood spilling everywhere. Just these fights are just brutal. He's just this guy is he has a thing called bloodline, where he gets into his past bloodline of his family, and his family had like these incantations or like supernatural elements to him that goes through generation after generation and just makes him this crazy huge monster. You just see this is just 90s violence out of control, where he's just ripping her. This year he just rips her hair out. All that red, that's hair that he rips from her scalp. And here we go. I'm gonna point this out. Nobody does better moons than Stephen Platt with these craters. Just this is the best moons you'll ever see is from Stephen Platt. And then here's that super long cape, just getting just longer and just going so long that it's obviously off the panel. It's like a mile long worth of fabric. But great figure here. I mean, this is very much like a Spider-Man pose. As you get into just sort of the storytelling here, really working well with him throwing his adamantium like billy club that he has, that Moon Knight has. And it's just, some of the art's a little cluttered and with the line work. So it's a little like, oh, I don't know exactly what's going on. But you know it's just action, 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 action. That's all that really matters. Again, another beautiful, amazing moon. And just a billion shards of glass as he swings down into the office building window and just destroys the window. And then here, really interesting choice. When it's really interesting when a comic book, when it just becomes all one solid color like this. It's really interesting because that kind of muddles things up sometimes, and it makes things a little bit harder to read, because, you know, it's like, you know, you can't really differentiate, you know, the coloring of the walls from the coloring of the floor, the coloring of the lasers, or the coloring of Moon Knight himself. But it works well here. It works to to the advantage of the story, I think, where you can see that this is one of those emergency alert situations with the red flashing lights. And I missed this part, but I'm going to point back here. 100%, those are Todd McFarlane hands. 100%. This is a comic ad. This is a catalog for entertainment this month, which is a comic book store or business. And this is how you were able to order comic books back in the day. If you didn't have like a local comic book store in your neighborhood, or if you were looking for certain things that weren't carried at your store, or you were looking for certain issues, you had to order through these kind of catalogs and call. You had to call comic book stores and get things ordered, mail order wise. Here we go again with all the red panels, all the red pages in this book are just awesome. With the laser cannons and just the figure work for somebody who's really young and new in the comics. The figure work is really great. The storytelling works out on this bottom panel here, where you can see the lasers are shooting off and getting that door open for him. And then you just get more shredded clothing from Moon Knight's costume all the way through here. And then this last page, just 20 trillion lines. Like I don't envy the inker at all. Like there had to have been just so much extra work done on this kind of a page for this Moon Knight issue. This is a powerful, powerful image. Now I'm going to point this out. I won't point it out in every issue, but I want to point it out in this issue, the letter columns for Lunar Eclipse. It's interesting because they say that this is the first issue that has Lunar Eclipse. So it's their first letters page. I don't know if they renamed it or this is the first time they've ever had a letter page for Moon Knight. But it's odd because, like I said, this book is getting canceled at this point. Like it's going away, and this is the first time that they're doing letter pages. Let's take a look at issue 56 real quick. This is my favorite cover of all time for Stephen Platt on Moon Knight. Again, look at an awesome moon. I always get confused. I always thought that this was his first issue just because this image on this cover just stood out to me so much more than any of the others. But again, just awesome figure work. We're just being busted apart with the clothing and the shredding of the clothes. Storytelling on the fighting is actually really well here. Really done well. The camera angles all kind of work. There's no breaking of the camera divides. And these splash pages are just unbeatable. Sequest. Rest in peace, Jonathan Bradis. Open bulletins in this issue as well by Stan Lee. Just more great angles, really great kind of camera angles used up for that Stephen Platt used on this storyline. Now here, Moon Knight has like his own like guild of like confidants. Called the Shadow Guild or Shadow Clan. I love this. Is a really nice image of Moon Knight here. That's a really just particular Stephen Platt image. And even though like when they do these like holograms, like they're talking through like hologram speak or hologram projections, and there's less dialogue or less detail, it still really looks well here. Different faces, different body types. This is kind of your standard pose for a Stephen Platt Moon Knight here. Again, we get that long panel. Sweeping drapes. It still kind of got some confusion going on with the wind going this way and that dress going that way. There's a great Moon Knight moon here, or Stephen Platt Moon Knight there. Now, see, again, anytime there's a moon, it's going to be the greatest moon you're ever going to see is through Stephen Platt. And again, just the cape just getting bigger and bigger. And again, just taking over the figures. This is the kind of stuff I'm talking about. Just a powerful pose here of Seth picking up Moon Knight. Now here, this is when the storyline gets really awkward and weird, because you see Moon Knight just disappears here. He gets bleeped out. This is a really just 90s era forced into the Infinity Crusade storyline. And then it just kind of just loses all pace from here. Because it just gets a dying book. This is the last couple of issues, and it gets forced into a crossover event. Great demons. That's a great demon there. All right, let's keep moving on. We're just killing it here with awesome Stephen Platt comics. So I hope you guys are enjoying it so far. So issue 57, this is an Infinite Crisis crossover issue. Again, like I was saying last time, that last issue, this is just a big forced tie-in with this Infinity Crusade storyline happening here, where in the actual issues of Moon Knight's not in the story itself, the ongoing story in the Moon Knight series. He's off doing Infinity Gauntlet or Infinity Crisis shenanigans. But again, we can just sit here, we can flip through these pages and just appreciate just the rubble, the debris that is just synonymous with awesome Stephen Platt work. Again, here, told you guys, awesome moons. We get 3 awesome Stephen Platt moons here, as this is the big tie-in kind of element for, or the start of the tie-in element of Moon Knight being in Infinity Crusade. Look at the back muscles. That's just monster, just traps and back muscles going on. Good stuff. Another great moon. So you get 3 moons in one panel and then one other awesome moon down in this panel. That's great. I should have just kept a count. And a moon here. Just already, what have we got? Like 7 moons on this page? This is great. I love these 2 pages. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 awesome moons by Stephen Platt, who can't be beat in how to do moons. And here's a great 2-page spread of being able to see Stephen Platt doing everything there is for Marvel characters at the time when it came down to the Infinity Crusade crossover, which really took everybody from their books into that book of series of books. Another great moon. I would love to have seen a Stephen Platt Thor series. Like, just, we're really missed out on that. After he left Marvel and went to Extreme Studios with Rob Liefeld, we missed out on the chance of possibly seeing more Thor. He was scheduled to do a Punisher series. That didn't happen because that's when he went over to Image Studios. But at least we get this 2-page spread of just the buffest versions of every Marvel male character. Great Spider-Man that you'll see in here. A lot of it is just homages and swipes, whatever you want to call it, of Todd McFarlane's Spider-Man. But this is a great 2-page spread to see. That awesome Sasquatch is just great here with Farrell. Really just, I wish we would have gotten more Captain America, more Stephen Platt doing Marvel characters. So this issue, like I said, doesn't really have a lot of Mark Spector in it. It's a lot of these other Bloodline characters and Seth characters going on with that storyline as he's off taking care of Infinity Crisis. Now this is 100% a swipe of Todd McFarlane Spider-Man. This is actual cover. I could probably I'll put an image up of that here real quick, so you guys can see exactly what I'm talking about. This is exactly a cover of Spider-Man, Todd McFarlane's Spider-Man. And this is a splash page of Spider-Man that he used here as well. you know, I mean, just the cover alone. I didn't mention the cover. It's a Spider-Man 300 cover. But, you know, he gives all the love and appreciation to Todd down there. But missed out on him doing more Spider-Man. I think a Spider-Man Stephen Platt would have been just great. Once he kind of got his own kind of pace and style going with the figure, and it's not, you know, so much influenced so heavily by Todd McFarlane, we would have had fantastic Stephen Platt Spider-Man, I think. Some great, like just the energy. Like when he does energy, it's just so fun. I love just the energy of the energy that we have here and here. Just incredible stuff here. I don't know. This is like, it's almost like Kirby-esque, like Kirby dots kind of happening almost. Not so much like, but there's definitely some kind of influence there, of course, with the Kirby influence on the dots and the inking here as well. That's the end of this issue. Like I said, it basically was a Infinity Gauntlet or Infinity Crusade tie-in. All right, so let's take a look at the last final issue of Stephen Platt's run, as well as the very final issue of Moon Knight in general, of Mark Spector's Moon Knight, 1994, issue 60, final phase, as you can see on here. And this is another this is just a cover that's just great for it being all black and just black and white. Really powerful image. Again, I've been saying this entire video, but the shredded, destroyed clothing is just the best when it comes down to Stephen Platt's artwork. And here we go. We get that 2-page spread that goes vertical, which just packs in so much stuff. Like, so he's been off the book for about 2 months at this point. 50, 57, or 58, 59 was not done by Stephen Platt. Because he's been working on this issue. You'll see he just went full on from like, if you thought these other issues were like level 10 for like detail and craziness, like this is 10 times what we got in those books. And you'll see what I'm talking about, especially with this double page vertical spread here. Just amazing, amazing stuff going on here for sure. And I think here Stephen was doing his own inking at this point, because the letters or the credits have him as just artist. There's no inker credit on here, but we do get a really great dedication to Doug Munch, Don Perlin, and Bill Sienkiewicz, who were the originators of the Moon Knight series and the Moon Knight in general, especially Doug Munch. He's the original Moon Knight, one of the original Moon Knight creators. This is this ad here. That's great stuff. Mega Man X on the Super Nintendo, can't go wrong with that. Future Mega Man, hell yeah. Some X-Men, Jim Lee X-Men on these high C. You got Pogs. All right, again, it's just, this is all the time. This is 2 months worth of Stephen Platt just inking and doing his own art. Just detail, detail, detail. There's not enough detail, so let's put in more detail. Just great, gritty. Everything is gritty and just nasty in this entire series. And it really comes to a conclusion here, and not just the series' conclusion, but Stephen Platt's run's conclusion, and just the incline in this artwork. And we see it here. The coloring on this is fantastic as well. Just kind of like almost day glow coloring on that figure is really great. Got a shot at Freedom 4 Plaza from the Fantastic Four in here as well. And then just this countdown and this fight going on at the same time with the Adamantium Billy Club there. And we'll see, just here we go. Just, I don't know if this took a month in itself and that's why he couldn't do those other issues or what, but this is just time and dedication and just amazing. I'm going to try and see if I can just lay this a little bit more flat to kind of get the full appeal of just a wow factor on this page, on this 2-page spread. Just the image of Moon Knight here in the veins, that is top-notch, incredible stuff. And with this being the last issue of Moon Knight, it's the last issue of Moon Knight. It's the end of Moon Knight. As you can see, he does end up dying in this series. Champions video game ad right in the middle of what I was flipping through. And it's kind of the end of it. Just a mushy face, the end of Moon Knight here, everybody. Another great moon. And we end the series with the moon. Great, fantastic moon from Stephen Platt every time. And then here's the eulogy for Mark Spector, the eulogy to not just Mark Spector himself, but to Moon Knight and to the Moon Knight comic book as well. Is what we get here. All right, everybody. So that's going to be the end of this. I appreciate you guys so very much for coming in, checking out the video today on Stephen Platt Moon Knight, or as I like to call it, Splat Knight. Again, I hope you enjoyed the video. I appreciate your time you spent watching this. Give me a like, give me a subscribe, hit the bell so you don't miss out on any more awesome videos I got coming up. I'm going to probably do some more Stephen Platt stuff down the road with Prophet and Soul Saga. Those will probably be coming up later. Can't go wrong with either of these books. I would love to be able to showcase these. I love these books so much. So I'll be doing that down the road as well. But coming up next, I think my next video with the special announcement that came out earlier this week, if you're kind of in the comic book community and the news, issue 10 of Battle Chasers was announced. So let's get into some Battle Chasers next time. All right, everybody. Thanks again. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.